Okay. So I guess we can start by introducing ourselves and then just get started um with the mentoring session.
Okay.
So I am Jamie Welch. I'm a teacher at Marion County High School, and um, I am going to be um, doing a lesson on the different forms of quadratic functions. So we're doing the
A squared plus
vertex.
B squared equals C squared, right? Yeah.
Um,
Nope.
it's like standard form. So ax squared plus bx plus c,
Okay.
and we're going to be converting the different forms of that quadratic expression.
All right. And my name is Crystal Little. I am currently a math teacher, seventh grade at Morrow Middle School.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Yeah. Yes. So I know it, but I don't teach it that far in depth.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
So the lesson is kind of let's see, organized around a card sort where students activate prior knowledge, where they will use characteristics of quadratic functions to match. They're matching the characteristics to the parabola, so they know about the vertex and all of those things, that intercepts, and then they um, look at the relationships between the equations and those characteristics, so that they can see that certain forms of equations will give them those characteristics.
Okay. Because we're looking at certain forms of those lines. So we're going to say if that parabola is in the first quadrant only, then we're looking at a positive parabola, right?
So more of looking at the x-intercepts will give the equation in factored form. And so the students they'll already kind of know that, and they're really just supposed to analyze and match, and they're really supposed to see relationships. It's more about them seeing the relationship between the equation and those characteristics.
Okay.
And so,
So
oh, sorry, go ahead,
when
go ahead.
we're okay, so when we're introducing it, I know you said introducing it and they supposed to already know it and pull that prior knowledge. So like the warm up activity to activate prior knowledge, what would that consist of?
Yes, so the warm up is actually it's going back to linear equations, and they are reminded that we can see the characteristics of the line when we look at the equation. And so they're going to have an equation. It's not necessarily in slope intercept form. However, it does clearly, it's in y equals b plus mx form. So they've got to understand that that's the coefficient is the slope, and then they make connections to the slope and the y-intercept being on the graph and in the equation for a linear function. And then we say, okay, well, that actually happens for no for quadratic functions as well.
Okay. Okay. So if they know that it is equal to the y to the mx plus b, they know that still going back to their x and y coordinates, applying their points, they should know what if it's positive or negative. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And so hopefully we'll see them engaging in productive conversations and making those connections. And then we'll end the class with a whole group anchor chart. We'll create an anchor chart together, um, and summarize their learning. I want them to be able to see, okay, what summarize what are the three forms and what do they exactly look like. And so we'll have one chart that they can all see, that should summarize all the relationships they were supposed to come up with themselves instead of me telling them those relationships.
Okay. Group size.
Yes, ma'am.
Group size are what, 3 to 4? Or are you just doing 2?
Um, two. I have a few that like to be in groups of three. Honestly, we're having some issues with our ninth graders getting along, so it's going to very much be it's going to be touch and go.
Yeah, I can
Um,
feel it.
on on that, they will probably choose their groups with a little bit of my guidance, and I would prefer two, but I know there's going to be a few that are going to have to work alone or are going to need to work in groups of three. Just knowing them.
All right. So let me know if I'm right.
Okay.
So it's just a standard form of what the ax squared plus bx squared, and then it's also the what you say, where they're working from the vertex form, right?
Right. So they really
And
will just,
then oh, sorry,
no, you're fine. You're fine.
I'm
They'll
trying to
have,
get them all together.
that's okay. They'll have the three forms just written on the side of their parabola. So they'll be given the shape,
Mm-hmm.
the parabola, and then they'll match that along with the equations are already given. They don't know much about the equations and why they get the parabola other than if it's an x squared, it gives me
Mm-hmm.
a curve instead of a straight
A
line.
line.
We just talked about the characteristics of those curves, and of the different types of functions. And so they're taking, in this lesson, they're taking the parabola and saying, why does this equation give me a parabola that looks like this? And so they'll have all the different forms for that.
Okay. So after they get in their groups, they're creating their anchor charts. What is the time frame that this is looking like? Is it
Uh,
20 minutes or
so it's
10?
just should be a full class period, the entire lesson.
Okay.
Um, we're
And that's
thinking,
for them to get up and present it to, or no?
uh, no. Um, they're going to walk around and just discuss with each other.
Mhm.
No, hold on. I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry. Um, no, they're going to be answering six different questions about their parabolas and the vertex and the different characteristics and what they see. So I'm
Okay.
expecting to have to do a lot of individual conversations within those groups and then saying, oh, I like what I hear. Why don't you go talk to this group? Kind of thing. So I'm expecting a lot of productive struggle. And so I'm allowing a lot of time for that, honestly. If we have,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm expecting a lot of that.
Hmm.
And then we'll look at they have practice problems that are always available on IXL if we end up um, finishing early.
One last question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Would would they be allowed to use that Desmos graphing calculator or no?
Um, on this task, they won't need it.
Okay.
They will be given the graph. So
Oh, they will be given the graph. Okay.
right, so they should not need Desmos. I'm going to try to keep this a unplugged
Just hands
activity.
on. Okay.
Right, and try to do it hands-on. We do a lot of a lot of Desmos, a lot of Edulastic, IXL. So I like to throw in a unplugged day. I think this would be a good one.
Yes. No technology day. Paper pencil.
That's right.
Those my kind of days. Hate to say it. If you can do it on paper and pencil, you can do it with that computer as well. So yeah, those my kind of days.
Well,
All
thank you
right.
so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love it. It made me activate my prior knowledge.
There we go.
All
Okay.